Hi, this is Tips and Tricks by Mike McFadden, and we're looking at some beginner techniques in Photoshop. A few things here. I want to turn this photograph into a postcard using the sort of kind of popular technique. Some might say it's a bit of a corny technique in the sort of greeting card style, where we keep certain parts of the image color and the rest black and white. But before I do that, I need to get rid of this dustbin. Unfortunately, when I took this photograph, I could not move the dustbin out the way. So we're going to have to do this in post-production. So I'm going to use my lasso tool, and I'm going to make a lasso selection of the dustbin, but not exactly the dustbin, a little bit bigger than the dustbin. And then I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, and make sure that I choose Content Aware. And what Content Aware does is it reads the pixels around the area and it tries to heal over it. So I'll just say OK, and then deselect. So that's Command D on the Mac, Control D on Windows. So it's actually done a pretty good job here. I'm not a kayak expert, so to me it looks like it's done quite a good job. This is going to be in black and white, so to the untrained eye it's going to just look okay. And so I'm just going to leave it like that. Obviously, if you're a fanatic about detail in the kayaks, you're going to want to take a little bit more time and do something a little bit more detailed. But here it's okay, it's actually workable. So then we have the shadow here from the dustbin, which I don't like. So to get rid of that, I'm going to use my clone stamp tool, and I want to clone some of this paving here over that. So I'm going to hold down my Alt key and click to set a clone area. And before I do that, I just want to point out that I have put aligned off, and that's quite crucial here. If you don't put it off, you're going to have problems with painting some of the other areas over this as well. So what aligned means is that it keeps on going back to the same place and cloning from the same spot. So I'm just going to clone over here. Okay, and then I'll hold down Alt and choose the slightly darker paving and just clone over that little bit there. Okay, so that's workable, that's not bad. So the next thing I want to do is make a selection of this yellow kayak here. So I'm going to use my quick selection tool and use my square brackets on my keyboard to set my brush size and just make a selection of the yellow kayak. If I go too far, like over here, I'm going to just hold down Alt and eat away at that selection to get a nice clean selection. So I'm basically selecting all the yellow. Okay, once I've done that, I want to lift this yellow into its own, whoops, I went too far there, so Alt and paint away. Okay, I want to lift this yellow part or make a copy into its own layer. So to do that, I could go to Layer, New, Layer via Copy, but the shortcut for that is Command J on the Mac, Control J on Windows. And what that does is it makes a copy onto its own layer. So I have the original photograph here and then the copy on its own layer. So I'm going to go to the original layer, right click on it and convert it to a smart object. That just means that whatever I do to it from now on will be undoable and non-destructive. So with that new layer as a smart object, I'm going to go to Image Adjustments, Black and White. And you'll see what it does is everything in that layer goes black and white. The layer above, which I made a copy, stays yellow. So now with this dialog box open, I can go in here and I can adjust things. So I know that these kayaks are red, so I want the red to be a bit darker, because in black and white red should read as quite dark. Okay, and then the blue of the ocean I want to be a little bit lighter. Okay, right. So now I've got that. I actually don't want the kayak to be yellow, I want it to be blue, because this is Durban and it's all about blue sky and blue sea. So I'm going to select that layer with the kayak on and I'm going to convert it to a smart object. And then I'm going to go to Image Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. and I'm going to put colorize on, and then I'm going to drag my slider until I get the blue that I want. Adjust the saturation a bit. Okay, and the lightness. Okay, I'm happy with that. Alright, so now I've got the effect I want. Let's finish this postcard off with a bit of text. So I'll take my type tool and I'll click in here and I'll type Durban, and press Command A to select it all, Control A on Windows, and then let's just set this to a nice sea blue color. Okay, and then switch back to my move tool, Command T to transform, Control T on Windows, and I'm just going to drag the corners, make this bigger. Okay, and then press enter to accept that. Now I have this text layer. I'm going to go down to my FX button and I'm going to choose, okay, you can't see this, it's a little bit off the screen here, but I'm going to choose color overlay, and that brings up this dialog box. I'm going to choose that nice aqua blue, and I'm going to take the opacity down for that, down to about 45. I'm also going to copy that color, so I'll just select this code here and copy it, and I'll go to stroke and I will paste that color in there. Okay, then I'll go back to the original layer and to this fill setting and take fill down to 0. So now the original pixels are not showing at all. All that I'm seeing is the color overlay and the stroke effect on this, which is what I want. I'm also going to fade this out a little bit. I'm going to apply a layer mask to that layer. There it is there. And then I'm going to use a black and white gradient. So there's my gradient tool, and it's set, whoops, missed that. Here it is, and it's set to go from black to white. And remember, in a layer mask, black hides and white shows. So if I drag from the bottom up, it's going to fade it in from the bottom up. Okay, the problem with that is that it's now overridden my effects here. So I'm going to undo that, Command Z, and I'm going to convert this whole thing into a smart object, then apply a layer mask, and then do it again. So dragging up, and you can see now it fades out. So we're using this layer mask here. If I hold down Alt and click on it, you'll see it's just a black and white gradient. Black hides, white shows, and gray partially hides. So using that gradient, it's creating this going from fully transparent to fully opaque. Okay, and then I want to put a little border around this postcard. So I'm going to expand my canvas a bit. Image, canvas size, and let's switch to centimeters, and I just want to add 6 centimeters to the width and 6 centimeters to the height. Okay, I'm going to make a new layer, drag that to the bottom, and fill that with my color. So let's actually, edit fill, and let's choose color. Let's take our eyedropper and let's pick out this blue here. No, let's pick out the turquoise blue and say OK. And then this blue should actually match that. So let's go back here to black and white. And let's go back here to hue and saturation, and let's try and match that color. Okay, there, that's better. Okay, so that's a nice little postcard effect. My layers are a bit of a mess. It's always a good idea to clean them up, so I'm just going to rename the bottom layer to border, and the layer above that is going to be the black and white layer, so I'll type B and W. This layer is the kayak, and that layer is the Durban layer. So that's all good now. So now I can save that out and save it as a JPG or whatever. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this short tips and tricks tutorial, and I will be adding to my YouTube channel regularly, hopefully weekly, so tune in for more. Thanks.